I'm Kishan Patel, and this is Neutral Zone.
Hi, Kish.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming to Neutral Zone on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
Welcome to my surgery.
It's such a lovely surgery, though. What a nice road in Holland Park.
Yeah, we're hidden away.
Yeah.
But this is not the usual. There's not usually champagne served in my surgery. Just for you.
You know, that's how us orthodontists roll.
How much of your identity do you think is tied to being a dentist?
Oh, good question. I think quite a significant portion of what I do from a day-to-day basis is surrounded by dentistry, orthodontists. A lot of my colleagues and friends are dentists, and therefore your identity, even though you try and not for it, like your identity shouldn't be solely related to dentistry, the fact that you're surrounded by dentists with the majority of your work, like sort of waking hours, means that your identity is governed by your profession to somewhat an unhealthy degree.
Mm-hmm. So every angle of your life.
Yeah, every angle. And like, I come from a family of dentists. So I've got 3 uncles, all successful practice owners, Perfect Smile, owner of Perfect Smile, owner of Love Teeth Dental, owner of Iconic Smiles.
I knew none of this.
Yeah. So like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get into dentistry. You see like the business of dentistry and so on, the successful life that is portrayed. And
it's attractive, no?
It is attractive. Like, home is surrounded by dentistry, at work is surrounded by dentistry. So yeah, I think a lot of my identity, even though I try and repel it as much as possible, is to do with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm not, I think it's a very privileged position to be in. You know, we've got a very privileged job. So it's not something that I shirk away from.
Mm-hmm. If you're not Kish the dentist, though, who else are you?
I think when I'm not doing, day-to-day 9-to-5 job, it's about socializing with friends, spending time with family. Thinking of the Indian culture, a lot of our upbringing is taught to value parents, and I live with my parents and my grandparents at home, and it teaches you a lot of insight into what's important and looking at the bigger picture and sacrifices that you have to make for the greater good. So a lot of what I do outside of dentistry is spent socializing. I think if anyone were to ask me, I'm the most health conscious person. I do.
You fill your cup in other ways.
I fill my cup in another way. But yeah, I think outside of dentistry, it's predominantly to do with spending time with the people that make you a better person, that you want to spend time with. A lot of, working with patients, working with colleagues is difficult. Your emotional batteries are drained. So when you do, and I don't think there's anyone who's going to call me an introvert and extroverted person. So when you do get to spend time with people that you want to spend time with, that's
what fills you up.
Yeah, that's nurturing, that's refilling your batteries.
Mm-hmm. How do you switch off after one of those days, though, where you've never stopped talking, like you're having to chat to the patients all day?
I feel horrendous. Like, I get home, like I said, I live with my parents, my grandparents, and I'm like, straight, get me into the study where I can watch TV, or get me into, just close myself. You feel guilty, you're very short with your family, and they ask you how your day's been, and you don't want to explain and relive that side that, it's been pretty shit.
It's not much different from when you used to come in from school and like, what did you learn today? What did you do? Who did you see? And you're just like,
exactly. Like, go away. What I want is just some time to decompress.
Yeah.
I live in London, and getting the train home from work, sometimes when there are train delays, and in London there are train delays pretty much
horrific,
like at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
That hour just listening, listen to classical music every day. I'm a big fan of classical music. Just like putting some classical music in and just having that time to yourself where you're isolated and it just
take
yourself off, read a book, watch some Netflix on the train or whatever it is. And it just allows you that time to yourself where no one can contact you.
It's trash
And-
TV for me
Oh,
sometimes.
I mean, yeah, a lot of trash.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you like?
Divide Bling, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, you're
The whole-
speaking to Real Housewives. I discovered in COVID, and I watched Beverly Hills from the beginning, and it was literally the only company I had for about 3 months.
You-
Just got up, pressed play.
Lisa Vanderpump.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's a good balance. If you're being serious all day,
I know, you need something. And like, I was a
silly.
massive reason, like, to get to, the stage that I'm in my career now. I've had to sit exams for, I'm 33 now, so been sitting exams for the best part of 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Well, not 30 years, but I'm 25 years, whatever it is. And when you're revising and doing all of that, the last thing that you want to do is read, pick up a book and do things like, and you just need something that is the antithesis.
It's not requiring any brain
yeah.
brain work. So you're a fully qualified specialist orthodontist now?
Yeah, it's
Recently?
no.
No?
So I qualified as a specialist 2 and a bit years ago, but now I've just qualified as I'm consultant trained now. So to become a specialist is 3 years of specialty training. You can do another further 2 years of training, so you can apply for consultant jobs. So, and it is mad to think that. I remember, like, from year 4 of dental school, all I've ever wanted to do was orthodontics. And I don't know what it is about orthodontics. Maybe it's quite clean. It's like a puzzle that you're trying to solve and you're working with different specialties. I don't know what it is, but from early on in my career, that is something that I wanted to do. And it's been a slog. I applied 3 times to get into orthodontics. Didn't get it the first 2 times. Yeah.
For the training pathway,
To become,
the 3 years?
for the first, it's really quite competitive. It's not maybe as competitive as other dental specialties, but it is competitive enough for you to get rejected and to get turned down, and for you to take that personally, and you not to want to continue on what you feel like you should be doing. And that third time a charm, and I got in. And yeah, 3 years of hard grafting and hard trip.
Why do you think you got in on the third time? Had anything changed?
I published a really controversial article in a British Dental Journal.
Really?
When I was in DCT2. It's called Young Dentists Breaking the Silence. And it was an article that, I published in the BDJ a number of times, but I've never had an article that the editor has accepted within 7 days of receiving the manuscript. And this, you can still find it online, I'm sure. And it's an article which basically highlighted, which I think is actually pertinent currently, of how difficult dentistry is for a young dentist. You've got the GDC who, what did I call them? The bloodhounds in that article. Got the GDC where you have to practice defensive dentistry. You've got other aspects that don't, the UDA system. I think every dentist who works in primary care dentistry understands that the system that allows dentistry to take place under the NHS isn't necessarily fit for purpose. But this article was published and it got discussed at a very high level. And I thought that brought me down, and that I was sort of blacklisted maybe in terms of getting into specialty training.
Oh, so you think that's what made you not get in the first 2 times?
No, the second time, that's the reason why I didn't think. So I applied as a DCT2 when this article was published, and I didn't expect to get in as a DCT2. It's the first time that you can apply. As a DCT3, I went to Sheffield and did restorative dentistry, and I scored lower in my DCT3 interview than I did in my DCT2, considering I had published so much more, considering I had presented so much more. And that, for me, was a bit of a red flag. It's like, why didn't I get in? And then I worked in practice where I was a VT trainer. And I got in third time lucky. And, big believer of everything that happens for the best. And if I accepted a job as a DCT2, I might not have ended up at King's and St. George's, where I've done all of my training and of course, I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's probably one of the best training jobs in the country in terms of the support and the mentors that you have at both of those institutes. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So it had to wait an extra year or whatever it might be, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, you're happy there eventually. I remember when I was doing my SHO year, Max I remember working in the Barnsley Hospital, and there was the orthodontist Reg was commuting from Newcastle every day. And then I was like, my goodness, that's how competitive it was. Like, I had to.
And that's jobs are so difficult to get. And you have to train in more than one hospital. And some of these hospitals are, it could be Norwich and Central London, South End and Royal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really, really quite far apart. So it does take a lot of commitment. So when you do have a specialist orthodontist on the other side, you have to have made you make a salary sacrifice because, hospital salary is the junior doctor contract, which is good, but it's not what...
It's capped.
It's capped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what
your peers are earning.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Private cosmetic dentists.
I know lots of private cosmetic dentists and they're earning far more cash. But that's a sacrifice, but also it's a sacrifice to your quality of life. You're traveling, you're commuting, you might have a family.
Yeah.
You've got children, and it all takes a toll.
Out with children.
It's all looking at the bigger picture. You need to want to have it.
Yeah.
It's not want it, you need to want to have it.
Do you think that makes orthodontists a certain type of person in the whole field?
Not necessarily, no, because orthodontics is one of 13 specialties, and I can only speak for myself. But if you are a specialist, if you are a consultant, then you have had to make some level of sacrifice. And if you're positioned to be able to do that, then it makes it a lot more seamless process. Like I did orthodontics. I'll be very frank. When I did orthodontics, I was at ST1 to ST3 salary was just over 50 grand, right? For 5 days a week between King's and St. George's. I was doing my MSc at King's College London, and that was £18,000 a year for 3 years. So that's a massive sacrifice. I'm super fortunate that I live in London. I'll get supported with my family, don't have rent to pay, don't have no food costs and things like that. But someone who is coming into London because they've got this job and they wanted this job because, but like me from year 4 and BDS, and this is a job that they've got, and suddenly you've got £80,000 London rent, London living costs, London transport. It does add up, and that's a sacrifice that is
necessary to
well, yeah.
Are you glad you've done it though?
I love what I do.
Do you?
I actually genuinely love what I do, and not a lot of people can actually say that.
Yeah.
But me going into work, whether that be in hospital or be in private practice, or you genuinely, it brings a smile to my face. And the biggest reason why I wanted to do consultant training, to be a consultant, is you're really involved, or you can be really involved in teaching. And I get a lot of self-satisfaction from helping people. People who have been in my position. And, I've walked that walk. And if I had that opportunity, that would have made my life a little bit easier.
Or so why words said to you? Or,
yeah. And why can't I offer that to some based on my experience and things like that? So I genuinely, the clinical cases are super complex. I think I'll be biased again, and I'll say orthodontics is probably the most intellectual dental specialty in terms of it's a puzzle, and you've got to solve that puzzle. How do you manage craniofacial growth? How do you manage these teeth? How do you position them correctly in the right face? How do you then marry your professional opinion with patient expectations and manage
compliance.
That? Yeah, and compliance. I mean, aligners are brilliant, and it's done a lot for orthodontics in terms of
uptake
and educating the average person on moving teeth. But compliance is a major thing, 22 hours of
it's such a
I
difference.
mean, I don't think I'd be able to talk when I'm ready. A lock it is 22 hours it takes.
Having done Invisalign myself,
Oh yeah,
I wish I'd done brackets.
yeah, agreed. And it's I will never sell anything to anyone. It's up to them for them to take it on themselves. But I'm biased. My bread and butter is putting brackets on, and it delivers a better result with more complex cases. But this is about the pinnacle. That's different.
What would you say success looks like to you in the future now that you've got here?
I'm still looking for a consultant job.
For those listening, Kish, we say the word consultant. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's because you're working in a hospital as a specialist.
No. So to be a consultant, there are consultant jobs, and dental training in hospital runs parallel to medical training. So if you were a maxillofacial trainee, okay, granted you're dual qualified, but you have to do 5 years of specialty training to be eligible to sit a fellowship level of exam. So in dentistry, we sit the ISFE, which is the Intercollegiate Fellowship Specialty Examination, and that is after 5 years of training. So a fellowship examination, and currently the whole examination process is going through a whole rejig, but the process it was for me is that you sit a fellowship examination at a Royal College of Surgeons, and you are eligible to apply for a consultant job. Not every specialist has done those additional 2 years for them to be eligible to sit that exam and to apply for a consultant job. So if you're, in a specialty like periodontics, it's a 3-year specialty pathway, and there isn't an opportunity to do further training. That's the same with endodontics. That's the same with oral surgery currently. It's a 3-year pathway. There isn't a 3+2, whereas restorative is a full 5 years. And there isn't a 3-year get out, you're a specialist. You only become a specialist in restorative dentistry after the 5 years. Whereas with orthodontics, it's a 3+2. Because the first 3 years for you to be a specialist orthodontist is predominantly moving teeth, whereas the next 2 years are dealing with craniofacial cases, cleft lip and palate, orthognathic cases, complex hypodontia, complex medical histories. Oncology, yeah, exactly. So it's taking it to the next level of complexity in terms of patient and case management. So success to be moving from here, like I said, that I'm not a consultant yet. I do want to be a consultant, hopefully somewhere in London. And then, I've achieved after that, after the clinical side or the work side, it's about settling down with a family. And progressing in that side, essentially. So,
you don't have much time for that.
Yeah, it's been pretty full on. I mean, anyone who knows me says I've got a pretty packed social life, and then marrying that with a very hectic professional life doesn't leave. But that's a personal choice, right? You make that choice.
Yes, and I'm a big believer that there's certain chapters of your life where you've needed that side of the social side thing to get you through this other side.
And I don't regret anything. Like, I've got a really, really, really good group of friends around me, really, really supportive family around me. And that is something that not many people can say out there, and that's something that you can't take for granted.
Yeah.
They have to appreciate. Yeah, agreed.
Are those friends all dentists? Any non-dental friends?
That's a very good. Yeah, actually, I do have a few non-dental friends who know from you, like those friends from university who you were like thrown in freshers with, and like one of them works in finance. Another friend works in finance as well. Finance, I wouldn't say. Yeah, they work in alternative industry, but the vast majority of my friends is dentistry. And that goes back to the question that you asked me earlier. How much of an identity is dentistry? And you're surrounded by it. And it feels really bad in a social situation when you've got a non-dentist there and 3 dentists. And then all you can talk about is, the talk of your upper left 2 or whatever it might be. And you're like, this is actually not a chat to be had.
It's so funny to me because say you were the other person in a group of finance guys, and they're talking about interest rates or something all night.
That sounds so
You'd
interesting. So interesting.
But they never do it. They switch off.
I know. They do. And then they don't after a while. Everyone, you put people in a similar industry together.
Yeah.
The theme of commonality is your job.
Yeah.
So inadvertently, it does revert to...
It's going to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think you guys are still such good friends? That's
very interesting. That's a good question.
How many years have you all been known each other now?
So my oldest dental friend is doing Max Facts currently. We've known each other for going on 15 years. At Bristol, he did medicine at Cambridge, and then I was doing Max Facts. But I think it goes back to just basic things. If you're a good person, and if your values are similar, like your core values of, not being jealous of someone else's success, not being, why has that person got that opportunity and I don't have that opportunity, and things like that. If you actually genuinely like spending time with someone, which is quite difficult in the first instance, right? But then you're happy to see them succeed and be part of their journey. I think that's really, really important thing. And in our friendship group, in all my friendship groups, actually, because you've got different friendship groups. Yeah. And they came together on a 30th birthday. It was a few years ago. It's just like, it gives you anxiety. Like, are they all going to gel? Yeah. But every person in all the different satellite groups, as you've very rightly said, they genuinely want to help each other out and genuinely want to do what's good for everyone. And I think that's that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Do you have any other passions outside of dentistry? You mentioned classical music.
Yeah, I do. Passion's a strong word. I think dentistry is a lot of my time. I don't want to sound like quite a what's the one horse pony? I don't know. Anyway, we'll edit that out. Passions outside of dentistry. I mean, if anyone says, what does Kish love? It's watches. I'm a big watch aficionado, love watches, everything, read, eat, sleep, everything watches outside.
Like you and the technicality. And
the technicalities, the histories, the brands. I'm going to watch the Wonders this year to see all the new releases, get invited to events from that perspective. Like, it is actually a whole watch community. And I've met friends, said you have non-dental friends and other friends from watch events that we just go out for dinner and all we talk about, it sounds really absurd. It sounds really perverse, but all we talk about is watches. And it's a whole different world, but it's a world that, it's a bit of escapism. Like you said, well, how do you switch off? I'll read Hodinkee, and if you're a watch aficionado, everyone will know Hodinkee and things like that. Like, it's one of those things that you've got to just switch off.
What's your dream watch then? It's not that they're watching anything to me.
Oh, probably a Patek Philippe split-second chronograph in platinum. If I've got a spare 300 grand, then hook me up.
Do you think you'd still do some dentistry if you won
the lottery? That's a very, very, very good question. It depends on how much am I winning.
Big.
Well, what's big?
Oh, tens of millions.
All right, if I have 50 million, right?
Well, that's the cutoff.
No, it's not the cutoff. But I just need a number, right? Yeah, I would. I would still do dentistry. I probably wouldn't pursue private practice as diligently, and I would spend my time mainly in the NHS working in hospital, because that's the fulfillment of those cases and those patients and the impact that you can make for those people is way.
It's a very good point that we assume the goal is private dentistry to do the work you want to, and so many big complicated cases, or where a lot of the heavy work is in hospital or NHS.
But I don't know if This is going to hurt. That book that got published by Andy McKay or something.
Yeah,
The Medic. And then there was that BBC program. A lot of medics work in the private sector, Harley Street, Lister Hospital in Chelsea, or the Wellington Clinic, Cromwell, all of these places. But one of the stories in that really sort of stood out was when shit hits the fan, when defecation hits the oscillation, right? It's the NHS that picks it up, because these private hospitals don't have the infrastructure and the acute everyone there to manage it. So you spend tens of thousands of pounds for, birthing at the Lindau wing or whatever it is. But when defecation hits the oscillation, it's the NHS registrars and you get pulled in from that direction.
Yeah.
So for me, the goal is a private practice. For me, the goal is to provide the best care that I can offer anyone. Mm-hmm. And you're always learning, no matter how senior you are. I'm not saying that I'm senior because I'm only 33, but 60-plus-year-old consultants, the day that you say, I know it all, is the day that as a patient, I don't want to come and see you.
Yeah.
Because that's a really dangerous place to be. Everyone is always learning. You can never be more humble to learn from people. It doesn't matter who you're learning from. You've just got to have that mindset of wanting to acquire knowledge.
It's collaborations.
100%. 100%. And there are so many egos that we meet in all of our professions, right? And there's nothing more off-putting than having a closed mindset of my way is the highway. Sometimes, as a dentist, you do have to put your foot down, like, this is how I'm going to do it. But that has to be taken with consideration of look at the bigger picture, and then you've got to make that considered decision.
It always makes me cringe a little bit when you hear someone saying, I always do this.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm wording that right. You always do the same thing. Or there's a degree of compromise, or there'll be a certain case where you can't do it gold standard.
Agreed. And it goes back to, sometimes I'll ask the trainees, why are you going against a guideline? We've got the Royal College guidelines of 6s on impact, essential, and size, and things like this. Why are you? Because it's just a guideline. Your experience and your knowledge and your patient in front of you should provide you with enough information for you to be like, actually, it's a guideline and I'm going to go against that guideline for X, Y, and Z.
As long as you know it.
As long as you know X, Y, and Z, yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. When you're teaching, who makes the best trainee? What qualities do they have to have? What's the thing that really winds you up?
Yeah.
Massively.
I think my face gave it away. It's the attitude to learning. I think that is the biggest thing. When you're a DCT1 coming into hospital, and now we've got early years trainings at EYT, early year trainees who are doing a combined DFT and DCT role. So it's a 2-year longitudinal post that they spend some time in hospital and some time in primary care practice. No one is expecting you to know everything, right? I teach undergrads at King's. No one is expecting you to know everything about an orthodontic assessment or anything like that. But what I am expecting you is to come in, maybe having read a chapter on the bus to work or on the train to work, and just have some sort of insight, because what that shows is the right attitude, that you're here to acquire knowledge. You're not here to piss around and have a joke with your friend because you haven't seen them and catch up on their holiday over Christmas. This is clinical time. This is a professional environment with patients around.
This costs money.
It costs the taxpayer money in a hospital. And the biggest thing, my biggest ick, is not having the right attitude to learning. Everyone has off days, right? We've all been there at university where you've gone out all night out and we're just not performing 100% the day after, right? We've all done that. You'll sleep. Exactly. Well, exactly. Well, yeah. We've all got that. But then, there are compensations that can be made, because everyone's allowed an off day. You're not allowed 3 or 4 off days in a row.
Yeah.
And that becomes very, very apparent when your attitude just isn't there. Turning up to work late, there is no excuse in my mind of turning up too late to anything. It's my biggest fear.
Tardiness.
Yeah.
In any walk of life, even.
Yeah, agreed. You said get here at 4:30. You turned up at 4:50 with a little champagne. You know, like
But there's a mutual respect there, isn't there?
It is.
With teaching,
and my time is no more. Exactly.
You've turned up willing to give knowledge and be there to help. And I think teacher-student relationship, it's like they have to bring a certain amount to it as well. You're there to answer questions, to bring the question.
I've got.
Don't get on there silent.
I've got my BDS. I've got all this. Whatever I've got it. I'm here to help you get my knowledge from me and make it yours, and then you've got the power to treat your patients.
Yeah, the questions you need answered.
Yeah,
that's what you
exactly.
And everyone's got different questions
to ask and answer. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd still like to achieve?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
One of the things was
get your consultancy job.
Get my consultant job. I want to be a lawyer. So
I
do want to do an LLM. Let me get my consultant job. 3 years under my belt as a consultant. My dad always said that I should have done law. I didn't believe myself enough when I went to school for me to get into Oxford. This is quite sounding a bit hoity-toity, but I probably should have gone down that route of doing something where, you know, it's about speaking and there's different aspects. Not saying that dentistry is linear, but that's why I've chosen this path of dentistry where there's lots of different strands: teaching, clinical, NHS, this, that, there's lots of different strands. But the last strand that I want is to do an LLM.
So you can come and sue us all.
Yeah. What? Not sue you. I mean, therefore, what's it called? What's that? Dentistry lawyers. What's it?
I know what you mean. It will come to me in a second.
Yeah. There's 2 adverts on Classic FM. It's on Classic FM. It's the one B&B and Jones. There's a B&B. I
think so.
What's the implant place on Harley Street?
Balby? Is it Balby?
No, I can't remember what it is, but there's 2.
The patient, and it's coming
up as I soon.
There's a deadly silence. I kind of just.
I listen to Classic FM, Calm in Private Practice, and suddenly I'm not calm when that comes on.
Classical music is funny to me. You'll be doing like an extraction, it gets really dramatic, and it's this kind of
and the sweat's coming down. Yeah, exactly.
It's better than Rihanna, Rude Boy. Anyway.
Oh my God, yeah, Rude Boy.
Oh dear. I think someone somewhere probably already exists, but should have better playlists for dental surgeries that aren't.
But that's it. I think I came across someone in practice many years ago who had actually made a Spotify playlist for dental practices, and it got quite a few subscriptions, to be fair.
Yeah. I need enough that they're not the same ones. Even like Radio 2, there's certain songs that seem to come on all the time. What's something you've been learning about yourself lately?
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily specific to me, and I think as you progress in your career and the older you get, you just become less tolerant of other things. So I'm finding out that I'm becoming more intolerant of things that I don't like.
I had this conversation with one of my best friends the other day. I think that's age.
So I don't think it's specific to me, but yeah, I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like.
Yeah, I think once you've spent enough time on Earth and you know yourself to a degree of what you want to spend your precious time on, things that don't align with values, what makes you happy, why am I entertaining this? Less people pleasing, more like
and then you have to go through a phase of like, not people pleasing. You should always be genuine to yourself, but if you're pleasing someone,
you're not meeting you as you are.
Yeah, but they're also like, like from a professional perspective, if the consultant or whoever says, I want this done like this, and someone who is preparing something has already done it, one person might construe that as arse licking. The other person might construe that as, actually, I've learned from this senior colleague and I've got things to learn from it. Action, let me just be proactive and do it, and do it to a really, really high level because I'm learning something from it.
They're getting something out.
Exactly. It might not necessarily be fully apparent from the outset, but there is method to the madness.
When you were little growing up, do you think, I know your dad said it goes.
The first thing that I wanted to do was become a dustbin man, just because I could drive the big trucks. My grandparents had a newsagent shop in Norwood, which is in southeast London. And like my school was around the corner from there. I was allowed, because it was a corner shop, there was like sweets everywhere. I was allowed one sweet every Friday. And it was always going to be those cherry drops.
Oh, I love cherry drops.
I love cherry drops.
Lips.
No, the cherry drops, the Bassist cherry drops, the hard-boiled sweets.
Full sweets, yeah.
The cherry drops. And I always got that. It's because they would always pick up the bigs in these big trucks, and I wanted to be a truck driver. So the automatic, honestly, my 6-year-old brain, become a dustbin man.
I like the early morning aspect to it. You're done by 1.
Yeah, but you have to wake up at a really ridiculous hour. You have to get to the depot. I've looked at it, I've researched it.
What were you like as a little boy?
I was very assiduous.
Yeah.
I mean, from a very, very, very young age, hard work, there was no substitute for it.
Oh, I agree.
People could take away watches, they can take away whatever materialistically, but they cannot take away what you've...
Match my work ethic.
Yeah. And that, a sort of 11 plus exams, very traumatizing. I went to a school in southeast London and I was so average, straight C candidate. Look at the reports, still got the reports at home of me being in primary school, and straight C candidate, wanted to apply to this school, Croydon called Whitgift, which was at that point number 4 in the country, and the headmaster of my primary school being like, no, there's no point Kish applying for it. He's never going to get in. Got in, vice captain of the school 8 years later, and but it's that dedication, it's that hard work, it's that work ethic, it's that philosophy that you just have to take to, and it's born from a young age, that those characteristics. I mean, I do, one of my mottos is work hard, play hard, and I think all of my colleagues will know that I do like to go out, but they will also say that I relatively... And
I relate to that a lot, though. I think we say it almost with this negative connotation to it, but if you're working so hard at a certain level and people don't see that either, it's done behind the scenes at the time. You're like, in my head, like a spring. You're getting wound up and up and up and up. And at some point, you have to have a release or be silly, and it's this yin and yang.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many people who are super, super successful and don't have some kind
of release.
Socializing aspect.
I mean, I set my last and final set of exams in November last year, my fellowship examinations. I worked Monday to Friday in practice, in hospital, every Saturday in practice, and now started working every other Sunday.
Gosh.
Right? And then I was tying that up with doing revision in the evenings. You get home, the clinic finishes at 5, you get home at 6:30, 7 o'clock. You roll something down.
Yeah.
And then you've got to start revising about Addison's disease and arteriovenous malformations and all of these other random things because you've got an exam to sit. And over time, it does take a toll on you. And I'm not saying that I like going out because I work really hard. I like going out because I like to spend time with the people.
But it's very insular with doing all of that hard work and revision. I think it's unhealthy if you didn't then have some kind of outlet to see your friends. And especially if your friends appreciate what you're doing behind the scenes.
And they do. They're very supportive. And that's the reason why you're friends for such a long time.
Yeah. Do you do anything non-clinical apart from teaching? You mentioned you'd done a few papers.
So yeah, I was examining at Royal College this week actually for MFDS. I do examining for the diploma in orthodontic therapy, which is coming up in April. That's all sort of teaching and supervise a few projects from trainees, helping them to get a better portfolio for their specialty exams. But that's the strings that you can have to your bow, just not working in private practice in primary care. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is really commendable. And I don't want to take that away from anyone. But for me, I just like a little bit of variety of things like that. But yeah, what I see happening in the future, if I were to look at it, was, NHS consultant job, maybe going down the management role in a hospital setting. Dad is deputy CEO of a large NHS trust in London. So that's a lot of inspiration in terms of how you can progress and do well on that side as well. So that's quite important. Yeah.
So you said your grandparents had a corner shop.
Yeah.
And then
so
your dad is CEO of a trust.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's really good.
It's a lot of hard work.
Lots of hard work, but it's that work ethic.
Yeah.
So my grandparents came here in 1972 after Idi Amin in Uganda with the Exodus, and they had a corner shop, not a corner shop, a post office on Acre Lane in Brixton. You know, if you know Brixton,
road.
It's by the Tesco's, just opposite just right next to what's that? Blue's Kitchen is. Exactly. The Blue's Kitchen. So they had a post office there. And even to this day, my grandmother still tells me that there would be like a lot of people who would live above the post office. So when the wind used to be really windy, carpets used to lift up. They had one heater in the whole place and everyone. And Dad came here when he was 5, grew up in Brixton, got chased down alleyways by skinheads because the 70s and 80s was that sort of environment. Worked hard, got his accountancy qualifications after doing chemistry at UCL, and started at a junior accounts manager or junior accounts in an NHS trust. And then through hard work, dedication, all those values that he has tried to instill in me from a really young age, all of those things through hard, he was CFO, and now he's deputy CEO and CFO of a large NHS trust and was top 50 most influential BAME leaders.
Really?
Yeah, last year.
Wow, I bet your grandparents are so...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So that's just that.
I grew up in... My dad ran a post office for
3 years.
I was there every Saturday.
Yeah. It was before my time. This was in the 70s.
I wanted to be a shopkeeper, not a dozen.
Really? You had lofty sights.
Has anyone ever given you particularly good advice or like any mentors?
Yeah, Dad. My parents, my grandparents, 100%, like the sacrifices that they've put in for me to get to where I am. And it's just examples, Dad is ever
sayings or like
just trying your hardest. At my secondary school, we got our marks in we got an effort mark from 1 to 6 and an attainment mark from 1 to 6, right? 1 was like
you want a
hot dog. 6 was like, why are you here? And I always aimed for a 4 in effort and 1 in attainment, right?
At school didn't understand that, did they?
But that's who you want to be. That you find everything really easy without putting too much effort in. So Dad always used to say, obviously, don't get a 1-3, get a 4-1, right? But getting a 1-1 is absolutely fun. As long as the 1 is for attainment, I don't care how you get there. So that's
really interesting, because that goes against the we don't care what you get, just work your best.
No, I've never
try your hardest.
I've never But I still don't understand that. Try your hardest, but if your hardest, and it's going to sound quite harsh, but if your hardest isn't allowing you to reach the potential that you want for yourself, maybe that's not the right thing for you.
Yeah, it's probably just redirection, isn't it? There's certain avenues that are not meant for you as a person. You know, I'd be useless as a mathematician.
Know yourself.
Know your skills. I do believe everyone's got something they're incredible at.
Agreed. You just have to find it. Yeah, you have to find it. Yeah.
What about work-wise, like mentors or good advice?
Yeah, really good question. I've had, in my orthodontic training, there are 3 people who stand out. And in no order, they're Lucy Davenport-Jones, who is currently an orthodontist and the clinical director of all of surgery at St. George's Hospital. So whether you're a neurosurgeon, you report to
her name, but maybe that's from referring.
Maybe, yeah. So she works at St. George's and at Kingston. Shruti Patel, who was my educational supervisor for the first 3 years of my orthodontic career, and Jamie Gwilliam, who is an all-around just, we're 2 peas in a pod in terms of the way that we have an outlook on how we should conduct stuff. On the NHS with taxpayers funding. You know, it has to be very efficient, very streamlined. There's no umming or ahhing, and you've got to be quite precise with taxpayers' money. So they're the 3 people in my orthodontic career who I would look back on and say actually have made me who I am.
Oh, that's lovely. It's nice for them to hear as well. We only ever hear negative things.
No, I feel like
it's good to thank people and be positive where it's due.
If you give negativity too much space, it consumes a lot more time and effort than it requires. You know, I'd rather just appreciate the good things that you've got and the opportunities that you've had.
Yeah. And then if you were to go back to day one, what advice would you give?
Do law.
Do law. No, it means a dental graduate or undergrad.
Go to Australia. No.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. What I would say is enjoy the journey, not the destination. You're always going to be met with hurdles that are unexpected, be that professional or personal. And it's a test. You've just got to get through it. And if it's meant for you and you want it enough, you will get through it and you'll be even more successful for it.
Oh, it's a good place to end.
Was that you?
One last question.
Yeah, go on.
Beer or champagne?
Champagne.
Oh,
Bolly all the way.
Go.
Bolly.
Thank you, Kish.